Hello everyone, welcome to Lotus Heart Tarot. I'm sure happy to have you here. We are diving in for a you and them. I always am interested to do you and thems during Mercury retrograde, and that is what we have. So I figured today was as good a day as any. It's funny, in the front of my house, I have blue skies and puffy white clouds, and in the back of my house, I have gray skies and a thunderstorm. And it's an interesting juxtaposition. All right, so I just wonder what's going on. All right, here we go. For Pisces, please, Spirit, you and them, what is the masculine's energy? Please show us. Okay, we're getting Groundhog Spirit. And for the feminine's energy, we're getting the Starfish Spirit. And wow. Oh my God. You guys. Okay. Wow. I got them. Oh my God. I just got like the deepest sensation of something here. Okay. We have Lizard Spirit on the bottom of the deck, dream the world into being. So Groundhog Spirit came out and I was like, okay, and I just like put it out and I didn't think about it and didn't really look at it or anything. And then I read it as I was putting Starfish Spirit down and it said time to let go. And I was like, what? Like, I don't know. It just felt like it didn't resonate with me. And then I put the Starfish Spirit down and I'm like, it says open infinite possibilities. And this is on the back side of my house, you know, where the storm is. And this is on the front side of my house where the blue skies and white puffy clouds are, okay? Like, that's like the orientation of it, you know, like, hopefully you understand what I mean, because that's kind of a bad description. Like, you know, this is the side of my house that has the storm, and this is the side of my house that is blue skies and white clouds. Well, when I flipped the deck and I saw that it said Lizard Spirit dream the world into being, I went, oh my God, this looks like someone's about to make a move, and like someone has to get brave. They have to dream the world into being. They have to be willing to think that the best could happen here and be brave and act upon it. And then I looked at the groundhog, and you see he's holding this little red heart, and it's like, I want to give this heart, like I want to go, you know, give something or say something or tell something. And look at the expression on his face. It's like the biggest deal in the world to him. And he's so nervous and so scared and so stinking cute. I mean, you see why I made all those noises in the beginning, because all of that was hitting me. And then you have the Starfish Spirit here where it's like open to infinite possibilities. Whenever something says open, you know, it always gives me like really dive into that feminine energy. You know, really embrace that feminine energy, because that feminine energy is where we open to things, where we are open to receiving, where we are open to the idea that, you know, everything is going to work out as best it can. And sometimes opening is the hardest thing in the world to do. You know, when we've been hurt, when open feels like vulnerability, when open feels like the need to trust, when open feels like the need to put our guard down, you know, it's a challenge. You know, it sounds so easy, right? Like, oh, all you have to do is open up. But, you know, opening up, it's like when a dog rolls over on his back and shows you his belly and just like opens themselves up to, you know, to their most kind of vulnerable positioning. It's, you know, dogs in shelters a lot of times don't really do that, you know, because they're not confident enough, they're not comfortable enough, they're not secure enough, and some of them may have had really bad experiences in the past, you know? And it's just kind of giving me that vibe. And so with this lizard spirit here, it's kind of like, it's giving me this vibe of like, we both know it's worth it. We both want it. We both, you know, it's just, oh my God. The energy is just, it's like messing with me. And this is like a masculine energy of like, okay, you have to be the one to let go of your need of control, let go of your, you know, kind of uptightness or your logic and your analysis and your, well, shoulds and woulds and coulds and ifs and thens and cause and effect and da 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 da. You know, it's like, and just let go and be brave, you know, be vulnerable. And it's like the universe is saying, imagine what if it all did go right? You know, what would happen? Would it be worth it? You know, then, this energy. Let's go further, guys, before I explode from cuteness. Are y'all feeling this one too? I am like feeling this. Even like the little lizard, he has these like wings, but they wouldn't really function, you know, because, you know, it's almost like the wings have been injured or something, or didn't grow quite properly, because right, they're not air's just gonna go right through them, right? But it's kind of like dare to do it, you know. I can't even. All right, let's go. Do you know what I'm saying? Believe. Okay. All right. We have running with a beer bottle guy again. Remember when we got him that one time? I've had these cards forever and I've used them a ton. I've never gotten like running with a beer bottle before, and now I can't unsee it now that I've seen it. And yeah. Okay. Anyway. This interesting energy. You know, I'm getting someone who kind of like tried to stay busy. But I do think they spent kind of a lot of time alone, or they do spend a lot of time alone. They may be somebody who actually works out. I do feel like they're someone who may keep themselves in some pretty good shape. Doesn't have to be that, you know, obviously these are general readings, but you know, it feels like they keep themselves busy in an effort to avoid this kind of energy where they're like by themselves and bored, and then overthinking or filling the time with things that make them sort of bury their head, you know, whether it's like it just feels like wasting time, or you know, finding themselves like, oh, what, I'm bored, what should I do? And it's like doom scroll on my phone, or eat, or you know, I don't know, but it's just like it's unproductive, and it's not in alignment with how this masculine wants to see themselves, or who they feel like they need to be, or who they feel like they truly are. I don't know how to describe this, but it's just giving me like, when this person gets bored, kind of like, I want to say bad things happen, but it's not like bad things. It's like, I tend to not make the best choices with my time, or because it ends up making me feel worse. Like I don't feel rested and relaxed. I feel heavy. You know, either my mind is getting the best of me and I'm overthinking situations and self-sabotaging and sort of talking myself out of what I really want and stuff like that, or it's like the stuff I do to fill my time kind of doesn't necessarily make me feel great about myself or better, or yeah, like who I want to be or who I see myself as, or maybe even how other people see me. Like it makes me feel more like an imposter or a fake, or it just like reminds me that I'm not as good as I think I am, or other people think I am, or yeah, I don't know, but it's something like that. Like that I'm not happy or successful, or I don't know. Yeah, there's a defeated sense. Anyway, I feel like they are wanting to, I think they're looking at like kind of wanting to come back around, or like what it would take to come back around. For some of you, there's a distance here, like a physical distance or an emotional distance, or it's just been a long time since you've communicated with this person or had any contact with this person. And you know, when things are going really good in life, you feel like, oh, you kind of feel unstoppable. When life presents you with a risk, you're sort of like, why not? I'm on a roll right now. But when things are kind of going not so good for you, and then life presents you with to take a risk, you're very slow or hesitant to really consider it seriously, even let alone do it, because you sort of feel like, you know, I'm already down, or I don't know, I'm not having a great streak of luck right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's interesting though, because with this artistic card, I feel like there's something that's been awakened within this masculine, or something that is being awakened, or it's like a piece of this masculine that they're kind of getting in touch with that they weren't before. And it feels like more on a soul deep level. They may have been a bit more kind of like superficial, or like, you know, not like avoiding exploring certain parts of themselves, like their artistic side or their creative side. They may not have even really truly valued it like in a lot of ways, or seen the point in spending time like that. But it feels like something is kind of being awakened here. But you know, when you're a creative and you're kind of in a rut, it can be really hard to break out. Like that's when you tend to get in, like you get into a reading slump or a writing block, or a, you know, you just get into a place where you're like, I can't do it, you know? But it feels to me like sort of the opposite is happening here. Like this person is in a bit of a slump, but something is kind of being wakened up inside of them, where they're starting to have sort of creative ideas, or they might even be doing like something different, or kind of learning how to express themselves, or I have a friend who was always somewhat interested. They were someone that always was like building, making things, but more like technology. And they went out to eat and had a really good burger. And they were talking to me afterward, and they were cooking, and they were telling me that they were making this teriyaki pineapple hamburger. And I was like, what? And, you know, because it just seems so unlike this person. And they're like, yeah, I've been trying to recreate this burger, but when I started doing it, I just started using different like Asian sauces, because I didn't know which Asian sauce was the right one, and different combinations. And then it led me down this path where I started just making my own combinations, and I discovered that I really love hamburger, teriyaki, and pineapple together. And I was like, oh. And so that is even a creative expression. That is even like, you know, experimenting with your food, like whatever. I don't even know how to really say or to describe what I'm feeling here, but it's like it is something that is actually waking up inside this person, and it may seem a bit like insignificant, or not as important, or you know, or it could be like this person wanted to read a book, or you know, like I don't know if you guys watch football, but like in the NFL there was a Philadelphia Eagles team person who read this book on the sidelines during games, and was like always reading it, and his copy was all like highlighted and underlined and everything, and then teammates started reading it, and you know, they won the Super Bowl. And then they started talking about it on ESPN and Sports Center. I mean, I even like bought it for my son. Not gonna lie. But because it was just like the thing, and everybody was like talking about it. And it's like, this person may never have read a book, but it's like they may have felt compelled watching that and curious about it to like go get a book. And then they read it and they were like, oh my gosh, you know, and then they started buying books. Like there's some kind of spark within this person that's always been there, and that is a part of them for a reason that they have never really explored, that it feels like is kind of waking up at this time. And it literally could be spiritual, or it could be like artistic or creative or something. And it feels like it is like they came into contact with something in the outside world that affected them. And normally they might have felt that and just ignored it, but something has happened within this person where when they felt it this time, they were like, I'm following through. And that is significant. It's significant because it's an opening of some other part of this person. Okay? All right. And it's helpful to this person. It may be giving this person the strength. You see, even on this groundhog, he has like jewelry on. You know, he has like this turquoise on, and everybody in this deck does. Well, I say that, except these guys don't. But yeah, there's something happening. It could be spiritual, and it could be artistic. You might notice it. Like, I mean, maybe they are wearing some kind of jewelry, or maybe they are talking about something, or maybe they are wearing their hair a different way, or they're wearing a different t-shirt or different clothes or something. Okay, hang on. Let's see. It's in their headspace. Okay. Did we talk about this yesterday? I feel like we did. So in their headspace, you're obviously weighing heavy on their mind because the moon card is here, the high priestess is here, and the 9 of Cups is here. So you are heavily on their mind. You're occupying more than 50% of their mind right now, I would say. So you have the Knight of Wands and the 9 of Cups, and this combination is a self-centered combination. It's like, I do what I want to do when I want to do it because I want to do it because it makes me happy. I have no consideration of anything outside of that. Like, I don't care who I'm letting down. I don't care who, I'm not it's not that I don't care, but it's that I just don't consider it. I'm not thinking about it, other people's feelings or the ramifications. I'm just in a phase in my life, and I don't know if it's a phase in their life or if it's just sort of how they've always been, that I just consider me, and me, And with the Magician in reverse and the High Priestess in reverse, there is this energy of almost like this person having maybe not realized how self-centered they were, but it's kind of like they may have lost you, and then how do I want to say this? How I want to say it is the normal stuff that they do to transform something or transmute something or like fix it didn't work. And when I say the normal things that they do to do that, I feel as though normally they don't have to do much. It feels like normally, people kind of come back towards them, or they've moved on and they're not still thinking about the past thing, or you know what I'm saying? It's like either it's within them or that they've either like moved on and have forgotten about the past thing, or it's that the past thing, comes back around towards them. But it feels like, it doesn't require them to be direct. It doesn't require them to be honest. It doesn't require them to step into their power. It doesn't require them to do anything brave or courageous or to even like grow as a person or take accountability or use any of their skills. It's like, and part of this is apathy, it's partly like, I just don't give a shit. However, that's not what we got here. We have the moon on the bottom of the deck, and the moon is deep feelings. The moon also is like our subconscious mind, and the moon is also like our intuition. It's also our fears and illusions, and it feels kind of like all of it. All of it, all of it, all of it. It feels like this person does have deep feelings. And I feel like intuitively there is this understanding of, the feminine isn't going to come back around. The feminine isn't going to tolerate this behavior. The feminine isn't, and there's fear around it. Can't even be like, like, I'm not good enough, or I'm dealing with a different caliber feminine that isn't, I know for sure isn't going to take like less than they deserve, or isn't gonna step forward when I'm still not revealing anything kind of energy. But it does feel like they're in their mind, they're sort of deeply entrenched in this idea that this is the way they live their life, where they really put themselves first and foremost and consider their own feelings and their own wishes. And beyond that, they they kind of just don't go there. They don't let themselves think about it, you know? But there is this understanding that if they don't step into their power, the feminine isn't going to show up, isn't going to bridge the gap or close the distance, you know? The feminine has enough pride and self-respect and is disciplined and in control of themselves to the place that they're not messy, they're not desperate, they're not going to beg or humiliate themselves or act desperate in order to have success. And so unless this masculine, steps into their power with the magician and turns it up right and does the transmuting, like takes this from where it is to someplace different and takes it upon their own shoulders and, actually uses the tools that they have at their disposal, nothing's going to happen here. It's not moving. It's not going anywhere. And the masculine is even acknowledging in his own headspace that he is self-centered and that he is, kind of more concerned with, what's best for him or what he wants in the moment. Although there are feelings here. And I do think that the masculine, wants the feminine. I know it from this groundhog spirit, but that doesn't always mean that that's in their headspace. But I see that. I feel that. And it's interesting because maybe this masculine is like, if I come in like this, if I come in, in the same energy of being self-centered and only caring about what I want and only being concerned about what I want, I'm not going to get the feminine back. Like, I have to show that I have actually, I'm going to have to come in using all the tools at my disposal and show the feminine that I'm capable of transmuting this energy, or I'm capable of stepping into my power and doing much more than this. This is a hard one to give up once you're used to it. Because once you're used to just getting your own way and having what you want and kind of having people kowtow to you, or just sort of, like go, oh, okay, that's what you want, sure, whatever, it's hard to then be like, I want to share. It's like when you have your first child. I was literally just thinking about this the other day. My oldest child is a Pisces, and I just see in a bunch of siblings that I have watched grow up, of my friends' kids and stuff. There's like some pretty competitive and like hard dynamics among siblings, and my kids really don't have that I can tell. I mean, maybe we're all blind to our own children, who knows. But my oldest is a Pisces, and I think there's just a certain amount of like nurturing energy in a Pisces. And we explained to her, right, when we were having my son, that like, she was getting a brother and all that. And when we first had our son, like the first time she met him, my husband was holding the son, and she walked in and she goes, Dad, give the baby to mommy. Like, she did not want her dad holding her brother. And she's like my husband's princess. But yeah, so there was that moment. But other than that, she's always really nurtured him, and like, you do not mess with him. She will come for you if you mess with him. And it's funny because he's like way bigger than her, and like, he's always like, hey shorty, even though she's pretty tall. But anyway, I've just noticed this dynamic of, you know, it is so human nature, right? When you have both of your parents' attention and everything is about you, you know, like your first kid, you are paying attention to everything they do. Don't choke. Don't, you know, play. You're watching them play. You are always having eyes on them. You're always paying attention to them. You're always listening to everything you say. That you're always saying how cute they are. You're always remarking about everything. Everything they have that's a first is like a milestone, and you're like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. It must be like whiplash then when you end up having another child to that oldest child who's been an only child. And that's how this energy feels. It's like I've kind of been living my life this way, like the only thing that matters is what I want, and or like what's important to me or what's best for me. And that and but in order to be in a true caring relationship that is reciprocal and balanced, right, you have to consider the other person's needs to the same level and degree that you consider your own needs, you know? And not that that's the same thing with siblings, but you know, there's just this it almost feels like a bit of a realization of even just like how selfish that is, or how self-centered that is, or how, you know, is that who I really want to be, or is that even who I really am, to be that selfish? And also, are some things worth, like, if I ask my daughter now, like, would you have rather been an only child, or are you happy you have your brother? I know 1,000,000% there's not even a doubt in my mind that she would say, like, oh no, I want my brother. You know what I mean? Like, my brother is priceless. Like, I'm gonna go through my entire life with him. You know, I mean, my daughter's on her way home right now, and my son is driving up too just to see her. And so they're pretty close. So, I mean, I know she would say that, you know? And so it's like, there are some things that are worth the sacrifice. And it may be this realization that the selfishness is like what is keeping this person from truly stepping into their actual power. You know, always getting what you want and just being able to, like, you know, live your life like that, it isn't necessarily empowering. You know, I mean, have you seen those kids that are born with the silver spoon in their mouth? I mean, oftentimes they can't take care of themselves. They don't know how to be socially responsible. They feel like shit. They're on antidepressants, or they're on their own self-medicating drugs to escape their reality, which is, you know, supposedly this dream that we're all trying to, like, make happen for ourselves financially. I mean, it's insane. And so, you know, is it empowering, right, to, like, kind of always have your way, or to just live your life flitting from thing to thing that makes you happy and that be all you care about? Isn't there some kind of reward that comes from making someone else happy, or, you know, being a part of a team truly and making a contribution and caring for other people? Isn't there something, some kind of reward that comes from that that's bigger and better? And also, when someone doesn't give you access, when you can't just have them, even if that is what you want, and someone makes it difficult, like a high priestess is going to make it difficult, right? Then isn't sort of the reward of getting access to that person and, you know, being able to have the honor of sharing space and time with that person, isn't that like a reward? I, like, even my heart chakra is lighting up as I'm having this conversation with you. It's like, you know, isn't that something that actually has weight, that actually is fulfilling, that actually makes you feel better? This person's going through something, and it has to do with this artistic thing right here, okay? It's some kind of combination of that. You guys are very intuitive. I trust you to take my fragments and put them together. Okay, here we go with the heart space. And so it's kind of like this person is sort of knowing what is standing in their way, and it's like empowering themselves, and, you know, yeah, In this person's heart of hearts, they know. Oh, yeah, they know. 2 10s in the heart space. Oh, 10s are completions. And, you know, this energy right here, the rainbow here, we've been talking a lot about rainbows, right? This rainbow right here is actually giving me the chakra system, which is, you know, represented by rainbows. Or, you know, like the root chakra is red, the sacral chakra is orange, the solar plexus is yellow, the heart is green. You know what I'm talking about, right? There's this energy. Someone may have been really imbalanced energetically, and it may be that like they just were considering only themselves for so long that it was hard for them to consider another person. In their heart, they want emotional contentment with another person, but in order to have emotional contentment with another person, you have to share. You have to give. You have to contribute. You have to open up and be a part of something whole, right? I don't want to say you stop being an individual, because you don't ever stop being an individual, but you know, you cannot just think of yourself and have emotional contentment. You have to always think of the other person. How is this affecting the other person? How will the other person feel? Right? Because our goal here is that we're both content, that we're both happy. And in this person's heart of hearts, they know that they were not contributing in a balanced way to it. This person is doing a lot of reflection here with the Hangman. And with the 10 of Wands, I'm actually going to clarify that. I changed my mind on what deck. Wow. This person pushes people away. So sometimes, you know, when we have these traits, right, when we're selfish, what we're really trying to do is protect ourselves. We're really trying to push people away. We're trying to keep people, you know, we're safer if we are responsible for our own happiness, if we're not relying on someone else. So sometimes it can come just from like being fiercely independent, or being the first child, or being an only child, or you know, it could be a learned behavior. Maybe your parents are very selfish. Maybe your parents taught you to be selfish. Maybe your parents never made you share. Maybe your parents told you sharing was bad. Maybe your parents spoiled the crap out of you. You know, who knows, right? But this is a kind of a way of being, but it serves another purpose. And that's the thing. Sometimes we will just look at being selfish and we'll say, it's just selfish. But if we look at being selfish and we go, yeah, but what purpose is it serving? Then we start to get somewhere with it. And you have escaping here on the bottom of the deck, and it says avoiding, blocking, and pushing away. Well, if you're a self-centered person, you are going to push people away. You are going to avoid actually getting in situations where you have the opportunity to share in emotional contentment with another person, because people are going to recognize that you're selfish, you know, and they're going to be like, yeah, I don't want to get involved with that. Like, it's going to be me giving all the time and them taking, and like, I don't have energy for that. You know, some people will give into it and will get involved in it because they'll think it's going to change. You know, they'll be telling themselves, oh, well, they'll change, you know, love changes people, this and that. But the thing is, the selfishness is serving a purpose for this person. And, you know, it's giving me like, it has served a purpose for this person until what this person wants is something that forces them to confront their selfishness. And that's what's happening here. So they can't have what they want as long as they maintain the selfishness. And it's kind of like, almost like somebody never really hearing the word no, or you can't have that or something. And they're kind of fighting it or battling with it, where they're like, you know, but I want it, you know, like, I don't know why this reading keeps giving me very like childlike references, like, you know, like the sibling and the only child, and now it's giving me, but I want it, but I don't want to go to bed, but I don't want to brush my teeth, but I don't want to stop playing, you know, kind of vibes right here. And so it's like, maybe at first when the no was said, it because we see the dichotomy in the headspace as well, where we see the Magician and the High Priestess in reverse. It's kind of like this person recognizing, like, I have to step into my power in order to get access to the High Priestess. The High Priestess is in reverse, and in order to turn the High Priestess upright, I have to turn the Magician upright, and the Magician is what's going to ask everything of me. It's going to ask me to step into my power and transmute this and do the work and alchemize it. And, you know, or I can just give up on this and stay selfish. But in my heart space, what we see that I want is emotional contentment with another person. And, you know, with these two tens, there is a cycle that is trying to complete here in the heart space. And because it's creating a block, and it's actually creating so much pressure on this person that it overwhelms this person. And, you know, they're looking back, and they're in their heart space, they're like, man, this was a really beautiful opportunity. This feminine was charming and graceful and kind-hearted, and I miss them, and I crave them, and I'm desiring them, and they're what I want. But I want them like this, and they're not accessible to me like this. And so now I'm having to confront this. I'm having to confront my self-centeredness and the fact that it's really not empowering, and that it's actually not getting me what I want. And it's like creating this conflict that is like a spoiled kid that's like, you know, when their parent says, no, you can't have candy after 10 p.m. And they're like, but I want it. You know, there's almost this fight that happens that takes time. And in the heart space, we see the Hangman. I mean, Pisces energy is all over the mind space. We saw the Moon and the High Priestess, and then you have the Hangman and the Ten of Cups in the heart space. So, I mean, it is like the feminine's energy, or Piscean energy, regardless, is all over the mind space and all over the heart space. And this heart is badly burdened with this completion. There is this conflict and this block of, but I don't want to go to bed, but I don't want to brush my teeth, but I want the candy after 10 p.m. or whatever. You know, and then you kind of have this Page of Swords on the bottom of the deck that is like kind of the observer, which is the actual true I within us, right? That we talk about, where this person is really seeing all of this within themselves. And they're kind of having this aha moment of, okay, something has to give. You know, I can't, I either have to give up on the 10 of Cups in the heart space, or I have to turn the Magician upright in the head space. You know, I can't, I'm not going to be able to have both things. I'm not going to be able to stay selfish and have the feminine. And this is really, it's almost like giving me an alarm bell going off for this person. Now, doesn't that even bring a whole new meaning to this groundhog holding this tiny little heart? Oof. You all are so smart. You know, like when I talk to you for your private readings and stuff like that, y'all are so smart. I don't feel like I have to explain any, and you know, I feel like whatever, you guys get it. You're so good. I just love you. Okay. In the, you know, intentions and actions energy at the end here, we have the Page of Wands with the King of Wands and the Two of Wands in reverse with the Chariot. And this is some pretty powerful masculine energy, honestly. We do have Cancer energy and Gemini energy and a hell of a lot of Pisces energy, right? And we do have a lot of fire sign energy, a lot of fire sign energy. In fact, we have the Page, the Knight, and the King of Wands. But here's the thing. We have the Two of Wands in reverse and the Page of Wands upright. So that means to me that this person has made up their mind. They are no longer standing at the crossroads. They are no longer carefully considering, what do I want? Am I ready to make this choice or this decision? The Page of Wands is, I have made my choice. I have chosen what I want. I'm very focused on it and I'm ready to move on it. The King of Wands is here, even examining the Page of Wands, saying, yes, I am sure of what I want and I am going after it. The Chariot is, I'm going after it with every intention of having success and victory. And it is the, it's like the admission or acknowledgement, or, you know, that I think this is my life partner. You know, I think this is someone I can go the distance with. I think this is someone who really balances me out and who I want to, you know, run the gamut of life with. You know, this is someone who I think can keep up with me, and can, you know, is going to contribute to the success of the thing. And so the decision here is the action that's being taken. It is the kind of big event here. And with the World card, it is closing out a major cycle. We already saw those two tens, right, in the heart space. And now you have the confirmation of the World card where it's like, nope, the cycle has closed. So this cycle of this person sort of staying in this selfish mode and not empowering themselves and not taking action and not coming forward and not making the choice and kind of wanting to have their cake and eat it too, and you know wanting to have, you know, not brush their teeth, but why can't I, but blah, you know what I mean, that kind of energy, it's coming to an end. There is something really growing up here. There is something maturing. There is something dramatically changing within this person. They're gonna have to step into their power. I mean, they know that and we know that. They're going to have to step into their power. They're going to have to get brave, and they're going to have to change the situation themselves through their own courage and their own confidence. There's no easy way out. There's no, yeah, okay, I'll accept what you were doing before, or, you know, not doing or not giving, or, you know, like that energy. No, there's none of that. There's none of that. This person knows it and I can feel it. All right. Let's look at her. Man. Oh my God. Okay. So the feminine, you know, there's an energy here of, okay, I can try to be patient. You know, I know that sometimes people don't know that they are a certain way until it's revealed to them. And I know part of relationships is learning about ourselves. And so it's possible that this person does not know how unyielding, unbending, and unreasonable they're being. But I'm turning my back on it because I can't accept less than I deserve. I am wise. I have learned many lessons. I know my worth. I know my value. Like, I may not be ready to move on immediately because I may feel like I want to give this person a chance to see the light and to give this another chance or to come back. But I can't just accept what they're kind of like not what they're doing because they're not giving me what I need. Like, I'm not getting what I need from a situation. So I'm having to turn my back. I'm having to kind of look the other way, even though it hurts. And even though I hope they figure this out and they work through it, I'm not gonna just make it easy for them. Like, I'm not just gonna be like, you know what, it's okay. I don't need it anyway. Like, it's fine. I can live without a commitment, or I can deal with this, or I can deal. It's like, no, you figure it out. You know, you figure it out. And the feminine is a pretty confident feminine in knowing that she's not being unreasonable. I think there are moments where they're questioning, like, am I doing the right thing? Was this the right approach? You know, I really do care about them and I really don't want to be without them. And I really do hope that this works. You know, or that they figure it out. And like, maybe I was a little too harsh. Maybe I could have let things go on a little bit longer, you know, that, which I think is just a kind of a normal human thing. You know, we always second guess ourselves. You know, especially if we're empathetic and compassionate people, we always look at whether or not we could have done something better, usually. But I think that this feminine also experiences periods of time where she's just pissed, where she's like, no, you know what? F you. Like, I'm a catch. And I was just having a conversation with a Gen Z person who's dating, and, you know, they work together in the same place at the same time. And now, you know, that school's going back, they're going to go into separate directions and be, you know, I think it was like 500 or something miles apart. And they were talking about, well, how are they going to handle that and different things. And the guy was like, well, you know, I don't know, like, we might mess it up trying to make it go long distance. Like, we'll see each other again, you know, for sure next summer. And the girl just was like, I don't think that I would ever be interested in dating someone who was willing to, like, let me go for like 7 months. And I was like, wow, get it, girl. And that's like this boss energy, and that's how this feels. It's kind of like, you know, no, you know, this isn't let's make a deal. This is like, you know, I know my worth and I know my value, and I'm a boss, and I am totally capable of handling things on my own. And so if you're going to try to, I really truly don't think that this guy was like trying to offer her less than she deserved or was trying to pull one over. I really don't. I really think he might be afraid of a long distance situation, or what that might entail, or what the expectations might be. But I love her confidence, you know, and the only way you're going to get to a place where you find the answer is, you know, to work through it, to talk through it, to say, okay, well, we won't have any expectation but these, you know, we'll at least text each other every day. We'll at least see each other once a month. We'll at least, you know, whatever it is. Like, I'm not saying those should be the rules or parameters or whatever, but yeah. And it's like this feminine turning her back on this masculine and on this selfishness it is what is bringing the connection into alignment. This feminine refusing to accept it is what is in the end going to balance it out and bring it to a place where it has an opportunity at success and victory. So, but let's look further at what the feminine is thinking. Hangman on the bottom of the deck, guys. Okay. You know, if you've ever been in an out of balance relationship, you know that the universe does not support things that are out of balance. And if you, wow, okay, this feminine is not playing. If you, in order to protect the connection itself, you can't let things get out of balance. You know, it isn't even about like, well, I can, so I will. It's about, how is this going to affect the connection? You know, maybe I can overgive. Maybe I have it to give right now. Maybe not, there's not a lot going on in my life. And so, you know, if this person wants to be selfish and needs me to give a little more, then I can accommodate that right now. Maybe you can, right? But is that the best thing for the connection? It never is. It never is, because the universe does not support imbalanced situations. You have to keep them balanced. And so there's almost this energy with the Four of Pentacles and the Two of Cups of like, I'm protecting this connection, the health and well-being of this connection. If, you know, it is possible, I know because we're soulmates here, that we can have a relationship that's healthy for both of us and that's in the best interest of both of us, but not in this self-centered energy. And so I'm going to have to protect the connection by going my own way, by turning my back on the thing, and by saying, you know, it isn't enough. And I'm going to still want it. I may still focus on it. We saw that patience energy, and the Hermit is giving me that patience energy of like, I'm going to stay focused on what I want. And for now, what I want is for this connection to work out, or I want you to figure it out. I want you to see the light. I want you to understand how unreasonable this is. And I'll leave the light on for you. And even if it takes you a while, I will try my best to be patient. But I expect you to show up with something real. I expect you to show up in a different energy. And, but it's my job to not only protect myself and my own energy and my own heart and my own well-being, but it is also my responsibility to protect this connection. If I ever want this connection to be healthy and balanced and good for both of us, then I have to draw this line. I have to hold this boundary. And, you know, with the Two of Cups and the Four of Wands, the feminine knows. Wow, with the Hierophant. And the Six of Cups underneath that. The feminine knows that, that this is a powerful connection. And the feminine knows, you know, that ideally she wants commitment. You know, she wants long-term stability and a balanced relationship and something that is to be celebrated. And she's not going to get that if she lets this masculine get away with freaking hijinks and giving what he wants to give, in, which is nothing. I don't want to say nothing, but It's fine as long as it's what he wants as well. There's a conflict in the feminine's heart, which is heavily understandable, right? Because the feminine knows what she wants, but she's also not desperate. She's also not like, well, let me bend over backwards and do gymnastics and tumble my way through life in order to like try to squeeze what I need out of something that doesn't want to give it to me. No. Let me sit in my power and know that I am attractive and that I am strong and that I am worth it and that what I have to offer is worth it and that I am in my own way and in my own right a siren and that I can manifest and call in what I want toward me. I'm not going to chase. I'm not going to be desperate, In the feminine's heart space, you got the Ace of Cups, which just says that there is some part of the feminine that knows, even if it isn't this person, she'll get another chance at love. The universe will offer her another opportunity. This isn't it. With the Five of Pentacles, she may be feeling like left out and like she's lost a lot right now and that it hurts and that it's sad. But at the same time, it's lose it now or give everything I have trying to make something work with someone who's not giving the same amount and wreck the connection and lose myself in the process. Like, no, I'd rather just lose the connection, than all the rest of it. At least if I cut it off and I protect it because it's getting imbalanced, it has a chance of resurrecting. If I don't and I just overgive and turn myself into a human pretzel trying to keep it together, I could ruin it for life. It could be something that I can never come back to. Because the other person could lose all respect for me, or the relationship or connection becomes so imbalanced that it becomes abusive, in which case it's done. Then you have the Moon and the Two of Swords, and it's kind of like it is an energy that in the heart of hearts of this feminine, she's really not looking for anybody else or for anything else. She's not looking for someone to compare it to or someone to like a choice. She's not looking for what am I trying to say, like another option. That's what I'm trying to say. She's not ready to like open up to someone that she doesn't know right now. Right now her heart is sort of tied up in this other person, and she's still patient and wise, and she's not going to compromise and just give this person an out, but she is kind of waiting to see what is going to happen here. Can this person bring it into alignment? Okay. So, wow. There's mirroring happening here. The alignment is happening. You can see it. We have repeat cards in their cards here. But we have the Chariot with the Nine of Pentacles. The feminine knows the only way this is going to be successful is if she holds on to her worth and her value and trusts herself and trusts the universe and even trusts the masculine to figure it out. She would rather be single and successful and doing well, and she knows that she's capable of this and that she doesn't need anyone, and she knows that she needs to maintain this energy to be the feminine part of this team and to keep it balanced. She is willing to wait, it does seem, but not forever. She is hoping for a reconciliation, but it will only be an equal give and take. She's not going to chase this person. Like I said, it's going to be, you come toward me in the right energy and the right attitude. I will keep myself in the correct vibration to always be ready to go when you show up, but I'm not compromising. I'm not going to overgive. I'm not going to put this connection into an imbalance. I'm forcing this connection to come into alignment or to be done. Those are the two options here. Okay, so let's look at the connection energy. Okay, for some of you, there may have been like outside influence, or just this masculine may have even been a little bit insecure. Like it could have been feminine too, but there's just this gossip energy. I'm afraid of what other people may think. That may have been a blockage in the beginning. All right, this is definitely a soul tie. We see that quite a bit in this reading. And there's, wow, yeah. So, you know, this masculine is definitely seeing the light. They're definitely having this realization. We saw that Page of Swords in the heart space. In their heart, they know they're seeing the light. They're having some aha moments. They're kind of getting informed about, you know, how the way they're navigating the space, like they neglected the needs of the feminine. They put their own needs so far ahead and made them 100% of what was important instead of considering the feminine's needs. And so it even says, I failed to give you what you need. And the feminine's like, yep. So there is recognition happening here. And awareness is, you know, rates very high in what needs to happen in order for anything good to happen after that. You also have mistakes on the bottom of the deck, and it says, I wish I could right my wrongs. You have commitment, and it says, I want you to be a part of my future. Both people had the Chariot in their intentions and actions energy. So that is a commitment, and that is like a long-term commitment. So both people want that. You have destiny, and it says, I'm struggling to find the right path. I think the masculine is still, they've made up their mind that this is what they want, and they're really recognizing that what is going to be required is for them to step into that magician energy. I'm not sure that they have figured out how really to do that yet. And then you have soul tie. I always feel connected to you. So these two, even though they're apart, and it feels like they may have been apart for a little while or for some time, they always still feel connected to each other. I mean, I do see, even in the absence of each other, a sense of commitment to each other, which is funny because it's like we don't want to commit, but then it's like we now we're not together, we're not seeing each other, and we're missing each other, but we're still committed to each other, even though commitment was the problem. You know what I mean? It's like I see that in tarot card readings a lot. It's kind of interesting. All right. Like, I can't think about anybody else. No one else is taking your place. I mean, we saw Pisces all over the mental body and the heart space in the masculine. So if you're dealing with a water sign, I am sending you telepathic messages. Angry. You changed my whole direction. Annoyed. Wishy-washy. Oh, God. If you are dealing with a fire sign, the changes are real. Our eye contact is insane. I don't want to miss my chance with you. Excited. Passion. Wow. That's intense. If you're dealing with an earth sign, my nerves get the best of me sometimes. Hopeful. I'm ready for more than just texts. You don't care. I don't care what people think anymore. And I want to talk to you. And if you're dealing with an air sign, you're getting guilt. You deserve more. I am making plans. You will always be my secret love and secret. Wow. All right, guys. This is what I have for you. I really hope it helps. I hope this brought you some peace and some clarity. If it did, let me know. Like, share, subscribe. Until next time, guys, I send you off with all my very best. Always, always, always. Bye-bye.